It's Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Thanks for joining me today. A lot to talk about, a lot happening. Dow Jones up 564 points today. NASDAQ up 267. 10-year bond yield 4.308%. Gold up about another $8 to 32.53. Bitcoin up about $500, $96,000. And just like that, everything seems to be fine. Are we out of the woods? Comment down below. What do you think about the volatility now, this melt up back in the stock market? Everything's going up, the Magnificent Seven soaring, everything looks fine. Is it going to be this easy? Comment down below. Do you believe this? We got the job numbers today. We'll talk about that. I would say this. We've seen a little bit in the last week, a little bit of a pullback in gold. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. Get yourself some gold. Pick up a little bit of silver. I think it's a good idea to take advantage of this pullback because I'm not buying this whole thing. I don't think we're out of the woods. I don't think inflation's going away. I don't think market volatility is going away. I don't think the economy is going to improve overnight. I just don't believe it. I want to be optimistic. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen this quick. I really, really do believe that a lot of this data is very, very controlled. We know the markets are rigged and very manipulated, and we'll talk about that. But make sure you're protecting yourself. Get some gold. SD Bullion link down below. And a lot of you have been ordering the Dirty Man safes. You can go to the link down below if you need a place to hide your gold, to protect your gold, your silver assets. There's 3 different size safes. Bury these things under the ground. It's a fantastic item to have, and they have been selling very, very good. So Dirty Man safe, link down below. If you need to fill those safes up with gold or silver, SD Bullion, link down below. Trump calls on Fed once again to lower rates after solid April jobs report. I want to stress this. First off, we don't have 2% inflation. Unemployment, according to the data, is 4.2%, and this is the data that the Fed is going to be looking at. And the job numbers that we got today were better than expected. So I don't think we're going to see the Fed jump in, and we don't need lower rates, in all honesty. This really, to me, punishes the savers, and it allows people to buy more than they can afford. I think what we do need to see is lower prices, and rates are fine right where they're at. But I just don't see how you're going to get the Fed to cut rates when we're not near 2%, unemployment 4.2%, and the job number is better than expected today, and they're just pumping up the economy, and the markets are going up. So why in the world would the Fed come out and cut rates? I just don't see it happening. So here's some good news. Let's talk about a little bit of good news. April jobs unexpectedly jumped by 177,000, higher than all estimates. This, to me, is great news. So what do you think about this? Are these numbers even accurate? You know, I looked at some of the jobs. I don't know how many are part-time versus full-time. I see a lot of jobs in healthcare again, which, you know, a lot of those are government jobs. A lot of those are part-time, low-wage jobs. But at the end of the day, we'll give some props to the administration for some good news here and seeing these jobs go up. So some good news. I don't think it's really that great of news, but it is good news. Here's another one. Native-born workers surged by over 1 million, back to all-time high as government employees tumble. This is great news. This, to me, is great news. And this should be a huge talking point all over the media, which it is not. Since 2019, native-born U.S. workers have lost 1.4 million jobs. Over the same period, foreign-born workers gained 3 million jobs. Here's some really good news here. Number of federal government employees has declined 4 consecutive months. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. This is great news. I applaud this. I think this is a step in the right direction. So anybody out there that says this is all doom and gloom and negativity, well, here to me is some positivity, some good news. Here's another one today from the Hedge. Payrolls post-mortem. Stocks soar. Rate cut odds plunge. But there's something disturbing. Good article. Again, I believe the Fed is going to remain hawkish. It says here the headline data for NFP was much stronger than expected at 177,000. That doesn't match well with JOLTS, which has been indicating weaker conditions, and it doesn't tie in with the ADP numbers that we got, which was very weak at 62,000. February, March had downward revisions of 58,000. That does not help. So while they push up the stock market, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on the economy and keep an eye on the bond market. Very, very important. I'm hoping for the best. I'm optimistic, but we will see. We will see. Let's not forget, we saw the major trade war going on with China. Are we going to see those shortages begin in mid-May? We're about to find out. We're in May, and in the next week or two, we're gonna see empty shelves, or we're not gonna see empty shelves. Maybe it's just all fear. Daily Mail. Zelle is down across the U.S., leaving thousands unable to send money. Customers of several small banks on top of Zelle, including TD Bank, were unable to log into accounts or send money. Ally Bank, B of A, Northwest Bank, NBT Bank, Webster Bank, Park National, and many more. People could not log in. They could not send money. So the outages began 8 a.m. Eastern time this morning. What happened? I don't know. But this is another reminder of why you really, really have to be careful where your money is, how safe is your money. And just think, if you could not access your money for a day, a week, a month, what would you do? Should you keep all your money in a bank? Absolutely not. That does, and to me, a lot of people will say, well, keep it in multiple banks. That's wonderful, but you're still in banks, and you still run the risk that if something happens, cyber attack, grid goes down, you are SOL. So find options. Don't keep all your money in the bank. Keep enough in there to pay the bills. Keep what you can afford to lose. But I think your money is much safer outside of the banking system than it is inside of the banking system, because it just literally takes somebody with a computer to press a button and it's gone. You're locked out. Bank shuts down. Yeah, and what are you going to do? We are now, I think, going to see cyber attacks in this country accelerate. And what will they attack? They're going to attack the financial system. They're going to attack the banks. So be aware of that. Be careful. And certainly don't keep your gold and silver and other assets in safe deposit boxes. Huge mistake. And don't keep all your cash there. The hedge, a taxing showdown. Trump says Harvard will lose tax exempt status. I think this is great news. We've got some really good news today, don't we? Trump on Thursday night spoke at the University of Alabama, and he said this, and I thought this was incredible. The next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Let me update all of you that last year, 2024, $686 million in federal funding went to Harvard. How do you feel about your taxpayer dollars going to an Ivy League school like Harvard? And they raise so much money, but on top of that, they get all this federal funding. How much federal funding do you get? $686 million last year in federal funding. This is absolutely appalling. The next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. I love that. And I think that he's doing the right thing here. Here's another one today, Daily Wire. Again, more shocking than the last one. Illegal aliens racked up a 9-figure bill at Texas hospitals in just 1 month. Over $120 million. The exact number, $121.8 million, and 31,000 visits in November of 2024. This is why if you ever have to go to ER, it's a 10-hour wait. 31,000 visits in 1 month. $121.8 million. The system is so strained. And then you add this to it. And then we wonder why hospitals are closing down. We wonder why health costs is so expensive, why health insurance is so expensive. why it takes 10 hours at the ER, why it takes months to see a doctor. So if your kid has an emergency, get in line. If you have an emergency, you just get in line, because people from all over the world have cut the line and they're in front of you and you're going to wait 10 hours, maybe longer. And think about, if this is life-threatening, how many people have lost their lives because of what's happening at these hospitals right now. Here's another one, The Hedge today. Liberation Day 2.0. Trump terminates federal funding for NPR and PBS. Better late than never, it says. There goes 2 more leeches on the taxpayer. They are not going to disappear, but we will not be paying for them. This is great news. Think about the amount of money that you're giving to Harvard, to Ukraine, to PBS, to NPR, $5,000 debit cards to people from all over the world. All this stuff that Doge found, USAID, it's unbelievable. People should be puking. They should be so angry with what is going on. Why are we paying for this disinformation in the first place? If you can't make it in media on your own, then you shouldn't exist. Simply just take YouTube, for example. If people don't watch this video, if they don't watch my videos, this channel doesn't exist. It only exists because of you, because you take 15, 20 minutes out of the day, watch it, support it, comment. And please, watch this video. Give it a thumbs up, like it, share it, and subscribe. But, just think about how NPR and PBS really couldn't make it unless the government was giving them your money. And I believe in a fair market. If you have a good product, if people want to listen to you, then, you exist. If you don't, then you don't exist. But, it's basically like nobody watched this channel, but the government's giving me money. I can afford to just keep making videos and videos and videos, even if nobody cares, nobody's watching these videos. Who wants to live in a world like that? And why do you want your tax dollars paying for this disinformation? It makes no sense whatsoever. This is not capitalism. Here's another one today coming from The Hedge. Peak earnings pulse, consumer pullback, theme gains momentum. McDonald's says that they're seeing soft sales. Wendy's says U.S. market challenging consumer environment. Chipotle, first quarter revenue miss, same store sales have fallen. Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, slowing. So let me ask you this. Can the positive headlines or the positive trade headlines that we see on the news every day that are juicing the markets, is this enough to prop up sales with these restaurant chains? Is it enough to prop up the economy? It just, one problem I really have here is when we see this administration come out, say a couple words, and it juices these markets. We have no trade deals right now. We have no negotiations with China. At least that's what China's saying. But we have no deals. And yet you say that things are going well, we're close, this, that, and then, it juices the markets and the markets go way up. It's just amazing that there's no validity to anything. It's just talk. If you say something positive, it just juices the markets. But yet there's nothing concrete. There's nothing, fundamentally proving to us that we're close to deals, that we're close to ending a trade war, that we're close to ending the Ukraine war. So, I think that that's a big, big problem. I don't like it. But at least we have some good news today. And, look, at the end of the day, me personally, I would much rather pay more in tariffs than pay for 50 million people in this country who came here the wrong way, who shouldn't really be here, who we keep paying hospital visits, $3,000, $5,000 debit cards, hotel rooms. We're feeding people. We're educating people from all over the world. Honestly, if we weren't paying for all this, none of us would even blink about the tariffs. But so much of our money is going to PBS, NPR, to immigrants from, 160 different countries. We're flying, at one point we were flying people in and giving them $5,000 debit cards and 4-star hotels, giving them jobs, educations, and just think, if we were not paying for all this, you would not even blink with these tariffs. But the problem is we're paying for all this We're going to pay for tariffs. The economy is not good, and I hope it does improve. I don't want to see the country fail. I don't want to see the administration fail. I don't want to see any administration fail, because whoever the administration is, if it fails, America fails. We need a tax cut. We need to see businesses get a tax cut. We need an end to this war. The administration said that overall, over the years, altogether, $350 billion sent to Ukraine, a nearly $200 trillion just for this, or $200 billion just for this war. $200 billion for the war, $350 billion over, a couple decades. Your tax dollars, you're paying for this. People are working paycheck to paycheck. They're hurting. Restaurants are hurting. Retailers are hurting. Small businesses are hurting. And yet we are writing checks like there's no tomorrow. And nobody's really talking about the $37 trillion of debt, the $200 trillion of liability. Nobody's talking about cutting spending. And remember, we're almost at $37 trillion in debt, and nobody's talking about this. So if this doesn't get under control, I guess maybe we'll just be talking about trade deals for the next 18 months. Remember, midterms will be coming up in around 18 months. And if we don't get a tax cut, if we don't get this economy on track, if we don't get this trade war ended with China, these midterms will be over for the Republicans. So there's a lot of work to be done here. I'm hoping for the best. But, half of this country wants the United States to fail. The hatred for this administration, these people hate this administration more than they love the country. They would rather see the U.S. fail and this administration fail at all costs because of the hatred for one man. And I think that that's purely demonic. I don't care who the president is. I mean, I wished nothing but the best for Sleepy Joe, but he proved, to be 4 years of a dementia patient, 4 years let's face it, this man, Sleepy Joe, could not have worked at Walmart as a greeter. They would have never hired him. He wasn't competent. And yet 4 years of this nonsense went on, and people are still in denial. And anybody that didn't see what was going on, didn't see the mentality of this man, his cognitive skills, his dementia, just the atrocities that were being, that were taking place over in Ukraine, the criminality. If people didn't see that, then these people are really sick in the brain. You really, really are. It's just really, really sad that people are in such denial that they just ignore the truth. They ignore the facts, reality, and again, the hatred for one man. They would rather just see the country crumble and collapse. These people have no idea what they're going to be living in if that happens. Please don't think like that. Get your emotions out of here. And all you should do is hope for the best for America. Is this country perfect? Absolutely not. We've done some terrible things. Yeah, we have, and we still are. But I'll tell you what, you don't want to live in China. You don't want to live in Russia. You don't want to live in these places. Most people want to live right here. Most of the world, when they go somewhere, they want to come to America. And I don't see a whole lot of people leaving America. If you hate it, you have the option, you can leave. You can go live wherever you want to live, but you know that you probably won't. Because you just want to stay here and hate and pray to God that America fails, the economy crumbles, people lose everything. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see things fixed, but I'm going to call it the way I see it. I'm going to call it the way I see it, no matter who the administration is. I'm going to call it the way I see it. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my opinion. But I'm just going to call it the way I see it. And there is not one man or one administration or one person on earth that I'm going to agree with 100% of the time, just like you. You're not going to agree with anybody 100% of the time. But I'll tell you what, if we have a president where people can agree with 70, 80% of what he's doing, I think the country will be successful. But there's just so much hate in this country. They don't want success. They want destruction. They want collapse. They want pain. And these will be the first people knocking at your door when the lights go out. These will be the first people that run and hide when things get bad, because they're the most unprepared people. They have no idea what they're hoping for. I'm going to leave it there today. Comment down below on any of this. Please like, share, subscribe. Have a great weekend. Talk to all of you soon.